If you've ever looked up at the night sky and wondered how distant planets looked, I'm sure your imaginative mind would come up with all kinds of crazy scenarios. Sadly, as of now, we only have our imagination to count on when it comes to exploring the cosmos, at least till the near future. But don't be disheartened, since Earth itself is an incredibly diverse planet with many crazy places to explore. If you're adventurous, this list is for you. Here are 12 unique places from around the world which you've got to see. But before we do that, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Alright, here we go. Number 12. Gobi Desert, China. Have you ever watched the movie The Martian with Matt Damon? The story about an astronaut who was left behind on the red planet after being presumed dead and had to survive using whatever little was available? It sounds like an exciting concept to be stranded on a new planet all alone, with nothing but your wits to keep you alive. But the reality of our own astronauts getting to Mars, let alone regular civilians, is still a distant dream. While NASA has sent a couple of rovers to the red planet over the years for preliminary studies, the technology which will take people there is still far from a reality. Unless you have the money to hitch a ride using the SpaceX Mars program in the coming years. But for most of us who can't afford such a dream, all is not lost. You can still experience a Mars-like terrain right here on Earth. That's right, China has built a colossal Mars simulation camp in the Gobi Desert in Xinjiang. Codenamed Mars Base 1, this simulation camp will be used as an astronaut training camp in the future. According to the deputy designer Li Tangqiu, the terrain where the camp is built is very similar to that of Mars. Xinjiang has a mix of hills and desert, and the weather is dry with heavy winds most of the year. The temperature difference between day and night is also huge. All these conditions will test an astronaut's ability to survive in such a harsh terrain, something they'll face on Mars as well. The base was built with the support from the China Astronaut Research and Training Center. Is this something that you'd like to experience? Number 11. Houston, USA. Colonizing or even staying on a distant planet is one step of space exploration, but the other and equally important is the vehicle or instruments which make travel possible. How do you even know if the spacecraft is capable of withstanding the extreme weather and temperature conditions of these faraway places even before getting there? You can't just put humans on board and just wing it. That would be incredibly dangerous and foolish. So in order to deal with this problem, instead of taking the craft to space, scientists brought the space to the craft. How do they do that? Using these simulation chambers. Various engineers built up this one-of-a-kind thermal vacuum chamber in the 1960s to test the space capsules used in the Apollo mission with and without crew members. The Chamber A is the largest high-vacuum cryogenic optical test chamber in the world and is currently being used for testing the James Webb Telescope before it's sent up to space to replace the Hubble telescope on 31st of October 2021. Once the telescope clears all the tests, it's good to go. Number 10. Arecibo, Puerto Rico. Check out this incredible massive dish. This 1,000-foot wide spherical reflector dish looks something like a top-secret base from the movies, but its real purpose has always been nothing of secret. Work began on the Arecibo project in 1963 and since then has been used for several purposes which helped advance cosmology by leaps. The dish helped scientists in discovering the first planet outside our solar system, helping map the surface of Venus, and even confirm the existence of neutron stars. People who are interested in aliens, they would be happy to know that the Arecibo Observatory also served as an ear listening in on signals from distant planets and stars in search of any intelligent life. Crazy, right? Unfortunately, in recent years, due to safety concerns, the National Science Foundation have decided to decommission the telescope. On December 1st, 2020, the main telescope collapsed before planned demolition could be carried out. It's a shame that the Arecibo Observatory is shutting down, but its contributions to the field of astronomy will forever be remembered. Number 9. Colorado, USA. If the Arecibo Observatory gave you the vibes of a top-secret base, then this one won't disappoint you since it is a top-secret bunker. At the height of the Cold War, the Cheyenne Mountain Nuclear Bunker served as the control center for the NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command, which had the infamous red buttons which could set off highly sophisticated air defense systems. Though the base is not used at full capacity anymore, with only a skeleton crew of maintenance personnel working, it still serves as a backup site for the NORAD. In case you recognize this bunker, it's probably because you saw it featured on movies like Independence Day, War Games, and the television series Stargate SG-1. Sadly, tours are not allowed here since it's still an active site. Number 8. Cantal France. If you love cheese, then France is a country that you need to visit for its exquisite variety of these dairy goodness. From camembert to bleu d'Auvergne, your choice is endless. But we're not going to talk about all of them, but one particular cheese which is unusual in the way it's produced. The Saint Nectaire cheese, which is produced in the mountainous areas of Le Mans d'Or and Cantal, has a very distinct flavour and colour. The cheese is kept in special cellars dug into volcanic soil. Because of the composition of this type of soil, it gives the Saint Nectaire its characteristic flavour. The volcanic cellar provides the perfect humidity of 95% and a temperature that doesn't go beyond 12 degrees Celsius. The end result is unlike any other cheese. Number 7. Albuquerque, USA. Even though the last nuclear weapon test happened close to 3 decades ago, it doesn't mean regular ballistic missile tests have stopped since then. Though a scenario where such weapons being used on real settlements is still a reality, most of these missiles need to undergo various tests to see their efficacy. The Sandia National Laboratory test site in New Mexico is one such place where they test it out. They use these interesting rail launchers to eject these missiles into the air. Once they clear these tests, it gets added to the arsenal of weapons for wars and other conflicts. Number 6. Eniwetok, Marshall Islands. During the height of Cold War, the US tested over 50 atomic and hydrogen bombs on the Bikini and Eniwetok atolls in the Pacific Ocean. Though the testing ended in the 1970s, the radiation caused by the explosions is far from over. Even after 50 years, the radiation here is thousands of times higher than that of Chernobyl. All the soil which was poisoned by these tests had to be dealt with in some way. The Runit Dome on the Runit Island is part of the Eniwetok Atoll and contains 90,000 cubic meters of this contaminated material, including some plutonium-239. In recent years, there have been concerns about the dome cracking and leaking the radioactive material into the soil and surrounding water. The U.S. Department of Energy has asked Congress to assess the situation of the structure and push for repair efforts. Hopefully, the Runit Dome stays put until then. Number 5. Hawaii, USA. If you had to see this massive golf ball-like structure heading your way in the ocean, you'd probably lose your mind and swim the other way. But no need to worry. What you're looking at is the sea-based X-band radar, or the SPX-1. This floating and self-propelled radar system is built to sail through heavy winds and the heavy seas. As part of the US missile defense program, the SPX-1 helps in tracking ballistic missiles and gives the US an early warning to help make timely countermeasures. The radar system has been frequently seen in Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Number 4. Chernobyl, Ukraine. The name Chernobyl will live forever in infamy because of the nuclear power plant disaster in 1986. The damage caused by this incident will require a nuclear cleanup program that will only be completed by the year 2065. The exclusion zone is generally devoid of any human habitation, but there are a few exceptions of people who still reside in this region. Tours are also open for those who are daring, and for the craziest of them all, you can finish off the tour with a meal at the canteen of the nuclear power plant. Another site worth seeing around this region is the Dugger radar. This imposing structure was used as a Soviet missile defense early warning radar system between July 1976 and December 1989. This was one of the most powerful of its kind at the time and was used to protect strategic facilities from potential intercontinental ballistic missiles. It emitted a loud tapping noise while it was operational, which gave rise to its nickname, the Russian woodpecker. The Dugger is no longer a working radar system, but it is still a crazy artifact to see from the Soviet era. Number 3. Baikonur Kazakhstan. At the height of the Soviet Union, they were leading the space race by a huge margin. The first artificial satellite and the first man in space were all launched from this site. The Baikonur hangars in Kazakhstan still house many craft and equipment from the Soviet times and right now lays abandoned and gathering dust. It's fascinating to see how huge leaps in rocket science and astronomy happened in these massive hangars that now lay in ruin. That's what the collapse of the Soviet Union did to Russia at the time. Fascinating nonetheless. Number 2. Shark on Roof. One April evening in 1986, Bill Hayne was sitting on the steps opposite his newly purchased terraced house in Oxford, drinking a glass of wine, when he turned to his friend and asked a simple question. Can you do something to liven it up? His friend, the sculptor John Buckley, provided an answer in the shape of an 8-meter or 25-foot shark which would sit on his roof, perpetually appearing as though it had just crashed into the house from the sky. The fiberglass fish, which became known as the Headington shark after the Oxford suburb, led Hayne, a local journalist and businessman who died last week, into a 6-year legal battle with a local council. The process turned a relatively unremarkable street into a beloved local landmark and resulted in one of the most notable triumphs of British eccentricity over petty bureaucracy. Number 1. Novi Port, Russia. It's a warm day and you want to cool yourself down with some chilled beer. You walk up to your refrigerator, open the door, grab yourself a bottle and wash it down. Nothing too extraordinary about this scenario, but think about it. Refrigeration is still a very modern solution to the problem of keeping things chilled and stored for long periods of time. But this wasn't the case in the olden days. So what did people do then? Well, the Russian city of Novi Port needed a viable solution to store sturgeon and other fish before they were exported to Western Europe. The answer? These tunnels, which were dug up by slave laborers during Stalin's time. They used pickaxes and other handheld tools to slowly chip away the permafrost in this region. It took them 10 years to carve this natural underground freezer. The tunnels are then used for storing tons of fish that are caught in Novi Port and are still used even to this day. The tunnel itself is more than a kilometre long, with around 200 branching small caves where fish are stored. The massive refrigerator can store up to 2,000 tons of fish. Incredible, right? Think you'll ever visit any of these spots? Let us know your choice in the comments and why. Before we let you go, be sure to hit the like button, share and subscribe for more great content. Bye!